What's up, y'all? This is Francisco with Covenant Dispatch LLC, and once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, as you already can see in the title of this video, we'll be discussing today what IFTA is and what IFTA really means in relations to being an independent freight dispatcher. Before I jump into that, I wanted to just give two quick announcements, some updates and things like that I wanted to share with you guys. Number one is this. I'm looking for 5 dispatchers who will operate as independent dispatchers under my company. So let me give you guys some background information so that you understand what I mean. This is not a W-2 employee position. It's 100% commission split pay. The split is 80-20. So that means 80% you keep, 20% you pay towards the company. And then obviously as we continue, we'll begin to lower that percentage depending on experience, depending on how long you stay, and things of that nature. So you'll have access to the software that I use. I'll give you your own personal email. You'll have access to client leads. You'll have access to occasional help. I'm not really here to hold anybody's hand, which is why I'm looking for people who are relatively experienced, but you'll have access to occasional help depending on the circumstance. Once again, this is an independent contractor 1099 position, not an employee. So you must have some relative experience and you must be professional. So I'm not going to go too much more into details because I'm going to place my email in the description under this video. If you are interested, please send your resume to that email. I'll be selecting 5 people. And once I select those 5 people, we'll get on a group chat together on a video call and I'll explain it into further detail and then we can kind of move from there. So with that being said, I also did want to add that because I used to be a truck driver and I used to drive, I'm very familiar with the setup process as far as building and establishing your own trucking company, some of the different laws and regulations you need to know and things like that. So because of that, I'll be establishing and placing on this channel a lot more content as well in regards to truck driving altogether. So it's going to be all trucking. I'm going to have a lot of content on here. I'll be doing some interviews. I'm connected with a lot of different people in the logistics field, in different areas of logistics. So, I'll be doing some interviews so you guys can have just a scope of understanding of some of the different things people do, dispatching, company owners. I'm connected with some people who are millionaires because they've established in logistics. So, they'll be sharing exactly how they did it, why they did it, and stuff like that. So, besides that, I wanted to jump right into this IFTA explanation so you guys understand, what exactly it means and how you can implement it in your own company as a dispatch. So, the reason why I'm making this video, somebody 2 days ago by the name of Carmen commented on one of my videos and she said, "Hello. Great video. I just learned that DAT has an option for dispatchers to be able to sign up. Do you do IFTA? That would be a great topic to go over." Now, typically I wouldn't make a video that has anything to really do with IFTA because as a freight dispatcher, you don't really need to know the variables of IFTA. You should know a general understanding of what it is just because you want to be aware of some of the things that carriers have to go through and whatnot, but you don't really need to know the variables of it unless you were thinking about offering IFTA filing as a service. So that's what we're going to kind of discuss in this video, right? So number one, IFTA stands for the International Fuel Tax Agreement, right? Prior to this agreement, let's say I was a driver or a carrier that lived in Pennsylvania and I drove OTR or over the road. So let's say I was driving from Pennsylvania to California and back, right? I drove coast to coast. Each state that I would go into, I would have to enter into the welcome center of that state and acquire what's called a temporary fuel permit or a temporary trip permit. Because just because I'm a truck driver doesn't mean I escape the taxes for each respective state, right? So, Pennsylvania might have different tax laws and things like that from Oregon and Arizona and New Mexico and Oklahoma, it goes on, right? Every state has their own regulations and laws. So prior to this agreement, that's what you would have to do. So you can imagine the kind of mess that came with it. So they implemented the IFTA. So basically, each of the 48 states, obviously excluding Alaska and Hawaii, including 10 provinces in Canada, came together to establish this agreement. So now, let's say, you have to file your IFTA every quarter, right? Every 3 months. So let's say, I'm an over-the-road driver. I would basically consolidate all the miles I drove per each state and then how many gallons I purchased in each state and then submit that to my respective state that I established my business in. and file it like that. So it makes it a little bit more easier and more organized to keep track of taxes and whatnot. So I'll give you guys an example. I live in Pennsylvania. If I was an over-the-road truck driver, I would file my taxes with the Department of Revenue here in Pennsylvania. They offer an online portal where I can electronically just submit my information. So as an independent freight dispatcher, because you are a representative fulfilling all administrative duties for your carrier, you could implement this service, right? Most carriers already have someone that does this, but let's say maybe they're a new carrier or something like that. You can offer this as a service. And so just to kind of give you guys an understanding as a dispatcher, how you can do that. Number one is this, right? Each trucking company that, especially if they travel over the road, they have what's called an ELD, which I explained in one of my previous videos. An ELD is an electronic logging device. So you connect it to the truck and it automatically records the miles that you drive, even the states that you drive in, right? Which is one of the things that you have to file for IFTA, right? The mileage per state. The other thing that you have to file is how many gallons you purchased per each state that you were in of fuel, how many gallons of fuel you purchased, right? So most ELD service providers, like Keep Trucking's what I use, you can go on IFTA summary and literally extract the information of how many miles you drove per each state, right? Here's some examples. Now, the reason why it says 0 gallons of fuel is because you have to add that as a carrier. You add that manually into your system, because remember, the ELD keeps track of the miles. It doesn't automatically keep track of the fuel unless you add it. Now, again, this is diving a little bit into the responsibilities of a carrier, but just so you guys have an understanding, this is how you can do it as a dispatcher. If you're a dispatcher offering these services to a carrier, you can say, hey, you can tell your dispatcher for them to extract this information, right? The distance of miles driven per each state and the amount of gallons purchased in each state. Have them extract that information, send it over to you, and you can use a third-party company to file for IFTA. So here's an example. I'll place the link for this website under my video. It's called expressifta.com. But basically what you can do is you just come in here, create an account, put the business details, the jurisdiction they live in, the details of the vehicles, and then the mile and fuel records, which usually you'll get from them extracting that out of their ELD software, or maybe they're using a fuel card, which can give them the amount of gallons they purchase per each state. Whatever it is, have them extract that information, send it over to you, and this website and most other third-party websites will generate an IFTA report for you, and then you can just file that to the respective state that they live in. Some of you guys might be asking, well, why wouldn't they just do that? That's a really good question. Sometimes carriers just want to alleviate some of the responsibilities off themselves because they just want to drive, and so they might ask you to do that, and so that's a service that you can provide. Now, you don't have to use a third-party company, but it might be easier for you to organize yourself as a dispatcher. But, if not, sometimes the carrier will allow you access to their ELD software as an admin, where you can go on here and extract the information on your own and then go and file it. So you're basically skipping all of this and you're getting right to the generate your IFTA report. And then you take that IFTA report. If the state that the carrier lives in only has an option where you electronically fill it out, you just generate the report and then just take the information and just type it in manually, right? Or some states might allow you to just generate a PDF format report where you can just email that, or however you upload it on the carrier's portal on whatever state, Department of Revenue, wherever they live at. So that's basically it. This is a service that you can provide, just to kind of expand on the services as a dispatcher, just to stay competitive in the field. So please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more. I hope this video helped you out in some way. I'll check you guys out in the next video.